Oh, have you ever wondered what it
Nice
would be
hair.
like? Yeah, I immediately saw the hair. I was like, oh, Geralt of Rivia. I just remember having that hair on. There was a Witcher 3 hat you could get on TF2 that gave the scout Geralt's hair, and I always used that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Tony Tangerine, Steam Next Fest. In the background, I'll be showing you demos of games that I wasn't that interested in, and then we'll move on to the miscellaneous category. I'm going to start with Abiotic Factor in the background, which I thought it was kind of like more than I like. It's like a game in the survival of like a game in the style of like Half-Life 1. It is very much like, I think, to a point where Valve like literally asked them to change the game slightly because it was so close to Half-Life 1.
Oh,
Um,
really? Okay.
yeah, like it's straight up designed as if you are in the Black Mesa research facility when the is it the resonance cascade? Is that what it's called? Where, basically, when the Zen portal opens and then
Yeah.
all the Zen creatures come through, and what it would be like if you're a random scientist and you had to basically survive in that environment as like a survival game.
Yeah. It sounds like a cool premise.
Yeah, it's like a survival crafting game. Um, I played it for, I think I played it for like half an hour or something like that, and I just didn't really get it. I do like the art style. Like I like the, that early PC like 3D graphics
Yeah.
or PSX style graphics with like good lighting. We saw this
Yeah.
was very
Yeah.
popular with stuff like Valheim and stuff like that, where you take
Yeah.
like crude graphics with good lighting and it just turns it into something quite good looking.
Yeah, I do find, for me anyway, I think people disagree, but like I find that with people, I don't think it works. I think with the environment, it works really, really well. Same for like Valheim.
But yeah, I literally was like, I was playing this and I was like, this feels like I'm playing Half Life One, like, or like recently I played Half Life One with ray tracing, and it felt
Oh
almost
yeah,
like that, where it's just like seeing something with very heavy lighting effects added to it.
yeah.
I'm guessing maybe the devs are Australian because there's a lot of Australian people in this.
Oh,
I
is
don't
that
think there's many
okay?
Australian people in Arizona, no.
Well, you
So
don't know that. You haven't
yeah,
been there.
but yeah. Anyway,
Just trying to
I
be
thought the
outback.
Steam Next Fest was really good this year. I think it's probably the best. I was trying to get back in the track. I thought this was maybe the best Next Fest I've ever played in terms of like game quality and quantity. Like there was so much for so many different people, and it was all pretty
Yeah.
good. I think maybe it was my strategy this year. Oh yeah, the shitting minigame. That's is coming into effect now. So normally what happens is Steam Next Fest comes out, and I'm immediately like, okay, I'm going to download 500 different demos, and I'm going to play them all, and
Yeah.
I'm just going to go in hog wild, and I'm just going to go. I have no idea what this is. I have no idea if it's any good. I'm just going to download it and try it, which can
Do you
work
get a
out
lot of
really
shit that
well.
way?
Well, it
Yeah.
can work
Yeah.
out really well where I just find something that nobody else has played. I'm like, this is really
Yeah.
good. Why is no one else
A
playing it?
diamond in the rough.
But it also means I play a lot of garbage usually.
Yeah.
Now, when this Steam Next Fest came out, Persona 3 Reload has just launched. And I have been playing that a lot on Games Pass. And I didn't have Games Pass that much longer. I wasn't sure I was going to resub. So I kept playing Persona and I basically waited and I decided I was going to resub. And I was like, you know what? So about halfway through the event, I was just like, you know what? Why didn't I just take the time to see what other people are really vibing with, and then I'll give that a go. So it's like I'm already getting someone to give like a first pass to sort through all the demos and be
Yeah.
like, these are the best of the best to try, and then if anything else piques my interest, I can try them after that.
Yeah.
So
So just
let me see how many demos I tried. I think probably like 20 demos, I would say.
yeah.
Um,
There's still quite a few.
eight,
Just not what 40
12,
was it 40 last time or something? Or whatever
16,
the last
20. Yeah, about 20 demos. Normally I play about like 30 plus, but around
Okay.
30. So I'd say I played a bit less this time, but I also played a lot less shit. I would say. And like, even though I didn't
Yeah,
personally like this game, I didn't have anything against. Like, it ran well. It had good art direction. I just feel like I've been. I just came off playing a couple of survival crafting games, and I was like, kind of just don't want to play another one. Maybe that was my sole reason.
yeah.
I was just like, you know what,
That I feel like
I'm not
Survival
vibing
Crafting
with
has like
this.
that fatigue
Like, I
issue
just
like
I
more
just
than
been
anything
playing
else.
Power World, and I'm like, yeah, survival crafting game, got it. And I also
Yeah,
played another survival crafting game at this Next Fest as well that I actually quite liked, and I'll be talking about that a bit later. But yeah, I loved the theme and the art style of this, but ultimately it just didn't vibe with me in terms of the
right.
gameplay. I'll just quickly. Oh, I
I
really
do.
liked the trait system where you could take like
Oh,
you could get
negatives
more
and positives.
positive
That's
trait
nice.
points by taking negative points.
Yeah,
But
that's
that
nice.
this is something you'd have to decide at the beginning of the game. It was very like Fallout New Vegas almost, where it's like, hey,
Yeah,
you can get like worse reloading, but then you get like a permanent extra inventory slot or faster learning, or you can eat like shitter food or stuff like that.
hang on. You go the full shitting build, can you?
Yeah, the full shitting build. Um,
You get the bladder of steel, and then the
mm. But yeah,
I
um,
like wrinkly
I
bro.
I
That's good.
think I saw a lot of like PC gaming and gaming articles on this next fest, and they were all like saying, "Why is it taking this long to just have all these great demos?" Like people have really missed demos, and we've been saying this for
Yeah,
fucking years. But
yeah,
like,
yeah. It's in half a decade we've been saying it, but
and we've had next fest for years, but I think it's finally people are
yeah,
actually starting to pick up and develop them. The only thing I saw was I did see like slight pushback from one dev saying like, oh, Steam Next Fest can be hard because you have to put a lot of time into making like a polished demo that takes away from development. So it can
yeah.
be like quite
But I
crunchy. But
think I would personally like spin it as like a positive and go like it's like the one time you're gonna have more eyes on it to get like feedback and stuff, which is very important. And then if you and to know like how big your audience is going to be, I think that you can get a lot of good information, even if you consider it a maybe not a waste of time, but like a big time investment.
yeah, I did not play a single VR demo, Tony. That's why I was so happy with this Steam VR. There was
Okay.
again, they've removed the VR section from Steam Next Fest. It just doesn't
Yeah.
exist anymore. I did have a quick look, and they had released there was a demo for Escape Simulator VR, which I believe they said they updated it, and I was going to check it out to sanity check myself and be like, have they actually fixed it? But then I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not that interested. I love gameplay of this actually revolved around just like shooting nets at aliens and then like you're very weak as a scientist.
Yeah. You
Like
can't
I
really use
found
a
a
gun.
knife and I was like stabbing at this alien. It was taking like 500 hits to kill it. Like you very
Yeah.
much are like
Well,
it's from the perspective of a civilian inside like Black Mesa, I
well,
would say.
you just stomp. I can't believe that was cool. We just stomping on that wherever that was, and it took quite a few
Barnacle,
stomps. And
yeah.
just like pathetically stomping on it.
The way some of the items you made, you had to like it pulled up like a brain icon, and it was like, well, obviously it takes these items to make it, but what else do you think you would put in it? And you would have to like put items into it and guess what you thought would be in the recipe, and if you got it right, then you got the recipe for that item, which I thought was quite interesting.
Okay.
Um, there was like this again. There's some interesting stuff like you can dismantle stuff with um, screwdrivers and stuff, and then there was like if you wanted to build a machine, there's power sockets all over the facility. So you have to build it next to a power socket and then like plug it into the wall, sort of thing, which I thought was
Yeah.
pretty
So
cool.
is that to limit your think about where you are. Yeah, I like that. That's a good
I think
idea.
I would maybe play this in multiplayer, but I don't have much. I didn't feel much pulling me to play this in single player, which is what I got from the demo. I was like, okay, I kind of don't
Does it
go
does it
on.
need like a stronger story? Maybe like does it need more of
I don't know. The pull
a
was you're in Black
compelling?
Mesa. You need to get through this door,
Yeah.
find out what's going on. But I was like, I've played like half an hour. I'm kind of, I'm good.
I'm just wondering if like if there's a compelling side, maybe character driven or something like where it's like interesting reactions. Like maybe that's like what it
Yeah,
needs. I don't know. It seems like an interesting premise though. I don't know. One day might
yeah.
check it out.
I didn't play any multiplayer demos because I didn't convince a bunch of friends to try out multiplayer demos, load them up, and then figure out they're not actually multiplayer, which usually
Yeah,
happens, which is really
yeah,
fucking annoying. To the point
yeah.
where
It's
I feel like I had so much more fun this Next Fest because I avoided everything, all the pain points of Next Fest by going, you know what, I'm going to sit back, I'm going to wait to see what other people are playing, and then I'm not going to even attempt like VR and multiplayer stuff. I'm just going to play a bunch of interesting shit.
you learned your previous attempts on
Okay,
changing.
Bullfighter Neon. I played this. I was like, uh, it's very like a retro thing. I saw the store page and I was like, oh, this gameplay looks really fun, and I love the retro aesthetic. I mean, for Bullfighter Neon, the volume was like ear-piercingly loud at the lowest volume, and it would only let me get past the menu with a controller. And then I had to
Oh
start the
no.
game. I had to use a keyboard, and I was like, "Oh, this feels like quite a big bug." So I finally get into the game, and it's like pick a character. I'm like, "Yeah, cool," and the game is like a mini game where you mash a button, and that's the whole game for the demo. But this isn't what is on the
Oh,
store page. The store page is like you're gonna
oh,
fight. It's an arcade game. Oh yeah, the trailer's really fucking loud compared to the rest of the game as well.
oh, Jesus Christ. Okay.
But look, it's like the demo is a mini game from the full game, but it's not representative of the game at all. And I checked the community hub. This is intended. This is what they actually. And this is the full demo. It is just mash a button and don't get hit by balls. So I was a little bit disappointed by that one.
Interesting. Because, like, okay.
And the final game I played, because I'm trying to spend less time talking about games that I'm not interested with.
Yeah.
This is Spring Dash, and I think you watched me stream Spring Dash for a bit, and
Yeah.
it seemed like something I would like, where it is very much just like a fast-paced movement game, but you
Yeah.
essentially have like a
Parkour.
mushroom pogo stick, and I found the movement to be very uncompelling for me. I was not a big fan of the movement at all. It's very like springy, jumpy movement, whereas I'm very much more about going just as fast as possible.
You want to be Sonic.
I want, yeah. Well, we'll talk about Sonic when we talk about the platforming movement games, Tony, because I definitely played one of those.
Yeah.
But yeah, you said watching this was making you feel sick, but I was like, maybe
Yeah,
that's
when you
because when I was streaming, I'm streaming at 30 FPS, like the Discord
Yeah.
Nitro pleb I am, you know. Which I always
Yeah,
joke.
it's
I always say
very
to people,
possible.
like, when a friend streams and they don't have Discord Nitro, and I watch someone with Discord Nitro, I'm like, man, Discord Nitro is such a great thing for other people, because it's always
Yeah.
better to watch somebody else's stream that's watching. It's like that's
'Cause
one of
that-
the main benefits. Is like it makes streaming better for others.
It's not only is it like higher FPS and resolution, it's like also just better bit rates. It's like you just
Yeah.
can actually see what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what it is. It's like it might just be a me thing. It might be like a combination of like what I.
But yeah,
I don't like tilting stuff.
because you were saying
games.
this at like 720p 30 FPS, and I'm like,
Yeah,
and I'm playing this at like I'm playing it at like
well, you're,
40,
and you're controlling
40p,
it as well.
120 plus, and I'm like, oh, this feels pretty
Yeah.
smooth overall. But it's, I don't know, I didn't like the movement, and then it's very much just feels like a bare bones sort of default Unity thing. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll check something else out. You know, not that interesting to me. Like I saw it in. I was watching Fan the Deck, who's one of the Steam Deck videos creators that I follow, and he said that this. I actually watched his video about the Steam Next Fest, and he was like, "Oh, you should check this out." So I tried it, and then I was like, I didn't gel with it that much, so decided to check out other stuff. Tony, now this section of Steam Next Fest, I'm calling MISC or miscellaneous, because all of these kind of go into a category, but not the big categories I have for the other games. There'll probably be about 4 videos, and then we'll do a favorites list at the end, I guess, again, which is like the highlights, which I quite like doing before.
Yeah, I think that makes
But I
sense.
kind of don't
To be
want to
honest, I
call this
dedicated you
misc
for it.
because the most misc game I played was a game called Mouthwashing,
Okay.
and I don't know. I kind of didn't even want to show you Mouthwashing before we started. I was like, you just have to see this to believe it. I was streaming it to a friend on Discord, and he said, "This is the strangest game I've ever seen," and I couldn't. I was like, "Yeah, I've seen some pretty weird shit, but you know, this is very strange." Um,
Avant-garde?
how do I describe Mouthwashing? Mouthwashing is one of those games where you'll play it and you'll be very confused, but then immediately after I went away from playing Mouthwash, I just kept thinking about Mouthwashing, the game, and
Okay.
I just it leaves an impression on you. I will say, so probably the easiest way to describe this game is I don't know, it's like Pony Express. There's a crew, tells you how long it goes, and it just says, I hope this hurts. And me, I was like, what? Like immediately the game's like, I hope this hurts. And I'm like, what's going on?
Can I just say for a bit, this is the first time I'm seeing this. The only thing I've seen of this was your notes on this game.
Yeah, my
Which
notes feature question
it didn't
marks.
help me. Yeah.
So it starts off, I would say it's very like PSX, sort of like, I would say it takes
Yeah.
cues from psychological horror stuff like Silent Hill, but not really. It's not really like a Silent Hill Resident Evil game. It just kind of looks like that. Like it feels like a PSX, like a PS1 horror game in terms of how it
Yeah.
looks, but it
Yeah.
definitely doesn't play like that. And the way the story works in this demo is it's completely non-linear. It's all over the place. You'll be having a conversation with someone and then suddenly you teleport and you're like 2 weeks later and you're watching TV for some reason and you're just scrolling through these static TV channels and it just dissolves into something else. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And it like I'm just walking through hallways here and it's like
Yeah.
I'm on a ship. I don't know what's going on, but then suddenly I go through a door and then the hallway that existed here doesn't exist anymore. And I'm just like, okay, this is very avant-garde. I don't know. But I can't say I disliked it. I think
Just weird.
I don't know. When I played Mouthwash and I came when I thought about it, I was like, Mouthwash is kind of like mouthwashing, like like in the sense that when you use mouthwash, it's something that you use mouthwash because it's something that leaves a bad taste in your mouth. But then again, the act of mouthwashing is almost like it also puts like a bad taste in your mouth. Do you get what I'm saying? Like I don't know. This is a game where I feel like it's less a game and more like a piece of art. Like it's gonna be something you're either gonna like really love or really hate, I guess.
You compared it when you compared it to Star Trek, the
Okay, I'll
data
explain.
dreaming of the
I'll explain that later because
Okay.
but you see there, I opened a door and then the door disappeared, and then I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, there's this mascot here, and I was like, oh, is this gonna be like a Five Nights at Freddy's Screamer game? And it's not. It's just really unsettling. The game is unsettling, just constantly.
I do appreciate unsettling mechanics, but
like there wasn't there's no like jump
do.
scares, but I think jump scare shit is like awful anyway because you're never scared after the first scare, right?
So that's unsettling. Not a jump scare.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, you could argue that's a light jump scare, perhaps, but it's still unsettling.
I was constantly like, what is going on? So I kind of want to show more of this. It's like everything's breaking down, and then dissolve. You're talking to your crewmates 2 months after there's a crash that's happened, and you're part of a crew, but you have no idea what's going on. It's like 2 months after the crash. There's this fucking like goo everywhere, and nobody explains it. Nobody tells you what's going on. And
so are these working uniforms for you in prison? What's going? Is it just Oh,
No,
it
so
just says
you're from
K.
what I've pieced together with the story, you're on the Pony Express, which is why there's pony mascots everywhere. It's like
Yep.
the
Yep.
Pony FedEx, right? And
Oh, okay. So it's FedEx, is it?
the
Okay.
captain has been incapacitated. He is. You'll see the captain in a minute. But you're trying to get supplies and try and survive. And it's more about your relation. I believe this woman's the medic. These guys, like, are delivery guys. They work on the ship. I'll skip ahead, but the main objective is, I would say, it's mostly a narrative walking sim, from what I could understand so far. It's like you need to get into the supplies area of the ship so we can see what we were delivering and figure out if we can survive on these rations. If we find anything in there. So you have to find this scanner, which you start to go through a ship full of goo. This guy's like...
It's not like when you like try and like fix like a water sea, just like put goo everywhere, like in real life. It's
Whenever I
not
saw
one
the
of
goo,
those,
I
it's
was like,
it's so
I feel like
broken.
I'm playing Prey with all of this like
Yeah,
goo everywhere.
yeah.
I'm
But
just
to me,
gonna...
there's like expanding foam.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So it's like trying, but like it fills in gaps. Like you're trying to fix the ship, it's falling apart. So
You
you
have to
just
get
like
so you have
fill
to
in
get this
the
code
gaps.
scanner to scan the code. But then, okay, Tony,
Oh my
this
god! Wait, wait
this
a
is the captain.
minute. What
I
happened to him?
believe this is the. I don't. There was a crash. That's all you know. Here, who
I
I'm going to
feel like it
call
shouldn't be funny, but
Mr. Mouthwash himself. This game is so like upsetting just constantly.
she seems so upset.
But basically, you have a conversation with this woman, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Do we still have the painkillers?" And she's like, "Yeah, I just can't stand the sound he makes when I give him the painkillers, because clearly this guy's in so much pain." So there's this scene where you have to open his mouth and put painkillers into his mouth, but it goes to this black screen, and all you can hear is the sound of it happening, and it is so like
Right.
you know how they say like with horror stuff, usually the human brain comes up with stuff that is more disturbing than you could actually show
Yeah,
somebody.
you want to just have cues,
You
and
know,
then
like
like you want the imagination to run away with it.
Eldritch stuff, where it's like the
Yeah.
idea of Eldritch
Not seeing it. Yeah.
not seeing them is more terrifying sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the fear of seeing them. You don't want to see them.
But I'm like, I got to give him the painkillers, and it's like his mouth is closed. How can you give him the painkillers? It's like, well, obviously you have to pry his mouth open, and then force feed him the painkillers.
I'm surprised you didn't get any like I don't know, mandible things to try to open his mouth. That'd be funny.
Yeah.
Hold his mouth open.
Pain is
I
how
can't
we
remember
know
what the
we're
actual
still
movie's called.
living. I'll turn it up for the viewers. Here we go.
Turn up.
Yeah, it's just unpleasant, isn't it?
Do you not bring a glass of water to help?
I don't know if we have water in the future, you know.
Okay. Might be somewhat useful. Okay, interesting.
But then I'm like, wait, was the lounge always directly connected to the medic office? Because that would have been a nice shortcut. I actually genuinely don't remember if it was.
I don't think so. I think you went around a corridor. The door might have been closed, but
I'm just going to skip ahead because it's quite a long... It's like 20 minutes, but we've got more games to talk about. So
right.
you have to scan a barcode, and you get into the supplies room, and it's like... It constantly makes you feel like the game's crashing. I was like, oh, the game's crashing. He's like, nope, that's part of the game. So then you're walking around looking at these supplies, right? And the supplies you have on the ship is mouthwash. Millions of boxes of mouthwash.
right.
That's what you are transporting.
Wouldn't that be useful?
But then there's a TV, and it just has these weird infomercials about deliveries. in like this like old 2D animation style. But it's not like oh, there's a text box. It's like, oh, this is to do this, or it just exists. It just happens. Stuff in Mouthwash just happens.
Right. You're being forced to experience.
Yeah, I'm gonna skip ahead again.
It's
Oh,
like
the mouthwash from Mouthwash. Log in.
99.9%.
Dragon Breath mouthwash, all day fire fresh.
Wait, what's the bit at the bottom? That seems maybe useful.
But then you're here.
Right.
I think
So
but yeah, there's no like dialogue. It's all text based talking to
yeah.
It's mostly just you're interacting with characters and you're just trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. Swansea is immediately like, oh, it's got alcohol in it, I'm going to start drinking it. I'm going to skip ahead here. Here we go. You're like, okay, the game's crashing again, and then I'm like, oh, I'm going to have some cake with Curly. There's an emergency going on.
how's he gonna eat a cake? He needs help eating the cake.
Well, obviously he needs you to go and get a knife and cut the cake for him.
Oh, that's okay then. I'm glad we still live in reality where you have to think logically.
Yeah, but I was like, what is... It almost like... I don't know. Am I Curly? I don't understand.
No, I think you're Jimmy.
You have to find a knife. So I'm going to the ship, and I find this fucking axe coming. I'm like, well, that looks like a knife. It just says feast. Now, Tony, in my notes I said question mark. And I said to you, do you remember that episode of Star Trek TNG where their Data gets like an emotional chip that gives him dreams, and he has this... It's probably one of the most unsettling episodes of TNG, but he imagines Deanna Troi as a living cake that he cuts a slice from.
Yeah, and he keeps hearing, and he keeps having a phone. He's ringing as a phone as well.
But I was literally like, oh, human cake. Here we go.
Here we go.
Time to take a slice.
Well, he's just there waiting for you, so...
Yeah, I don't know why.
Right, get the holographic Freud out.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
That's how mouthwashing ends.
Okay.
Or it's almost 5 days before. I think you're going through a psych evaluation at the same time before the crash.
Right.
But yeah, mouthwashing is very interesting, but I'm like, I don't know how much you can call it a game in terms of...
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't know how to...
It's an experience. It seems interesting though. I kind of like the unsettling nature of it. Yeah, I think that's pretty good.
Let's talk about Fragmented City.
It's moving swiftly on.
Fragmented City is a immersive first-person game heavily focused on exploration and socializing. The best game I could describe it to that I've played before is it reminds me a lot of Sludge Life. I think I wrote in my notes, it's like Sludge Life without the soul. You go around this city and you're talking to characters and you're figuring out what's going on, but Sludge Life has so much like style and charisma to it, but this kind of just feels like, oh, I'm walking around some Unity city that looks like What the Golf, and I'm just talking to the other bird characters. I mean, like you can make a really interesting game that's very light on direction, where it's just like the game comes from your interactions with the characters and learning about that world.
Yeah,
But then you need
yeah,
to have a really engaging world, and I think that's something that a game like Sludge Life does very well. But I thought this one was maybe more a bit of a slow burn. Like I think it starts to get more interesting towards the end because as you go around the city, you see these signs for like a cult, and you actually find a character who's been in the cult, and he's like half parts of his body are like missing, they're like fragmented. He's like, oh yeah, I'm one of the fragmented. You don't know about like you pretty much have no fucking idea what's going on, and it's through talking to characters that you figure this stuff out. Like you just walk into the street and talk to some homeless people, and they're like, oh, the TV's broke, can you go and fix it? So that sends you off on a quest to get onto the rooftops and fix an antenna. But going through and doing that like leads you to meet other people, or speaking to that fragmented guy. I guess that's why it's called Fragmented City. It's because the people are fragmented.
yeah.
But speaking to that guy then leads you to get a good story. And then there's a guy in the coffee shop. You're like, oh, I'm a writer, but I've got writer's block. I will give you some money if you help me out and give me a good story. So talking to the fragmented guy, give you a good story. It's got. I think that the gameplay is there. It's like, oh, you can go and explore this city, and by learning how the city works and how the people inside that city work, it allows you to progress through the game and feel like you're. It's a nice way to discover a narrative.
Yeah.
Is
So
by
you can interact with everyone like in any order. Then there's no like
no.
blocking off of areas. Okay.
No, it's
Yeah,
very
that's
much
quite
about
nice then.
exploration.
Yeah,
To get
yeah,
through
that's
here,
good.
there's like a rail, right? And you can scavenge around the city. You can find a bunch of coins, and then you can buy a rail pass. But
No,
what I did was I actually, after I did the quest for the guy to get him a story, I was like, oh, he was like, oh, I've got a metro pass. I was like, yeah, I'll take that as a reward instead of the money, because I don't know how much money he would have given you. So I was just taking the gamble that it was less money than 30 coins, because that's how much it cost to buy the metro pass.
right. That's kind of nice that like, you get like you have like options to like,
I think this one
choose
is
how to
like
solve
quite
problems.
interesting, but what made me love Sludge Life is um, that world is like, it's so over the top
It
and cynical. Like
yeah
everyone is
yeah
everyone works for the cigarette factory, um, because everyone in that universe is addicted to cigarettes, but they're all on strike
well
because their favorite
yeah
person in the world has been killed by a freak accident, which is the mascot of the cigarette company, because everybody loves cigarettes. Like it's
yeah
ridiculous, but I also love
it
it. It's like very like
well
anti-capitalist. It has a really
yeah
strong meaning. The visuals look amazing. The
the
soundtrack is a
sound
big
design yeah
murd. It's just like very like in your face, like cool world. This felt very
yeah it has that aesthetic.
placeholder.
This
It didn't.
looks
It
yeah
felt
yeah
very clean. I don't know. The world didn't make me
I
feel like I wanted to keep exploring it. Like the game itself was fine, but it just didn't have a soul. I felt like.
yeah this to me looks like a very good like from what you were describing before like obviously it's hard to like see like explain like mobile ways to solve it and then like bring you to different paths to get more information. I think it is like a good idea, and I feel like maybe like a more aesthetic path or more of a maybe aesthetic's not the right word, but like a theme, like more heavily into the theming of it and more
Yeah.
environmental stuff. I
Let's
don't
talk
know.
about
But
Kill It
yeah,
with Fire
that's
2.
interesting.
So we did a spotlight of Kill It with Fire 1, I
Yes.
believe. And the
Yeah, we
idea
did.
is you would burn down your entire house just to kill a spider. And they're like, well, what if you actually did that? What if you know,
Yeah, gave
no
you the tools to
no
do that.
cost, no collateral damage cost, you have to kill
Yeah.
all these bugs. And I was really like, what are they going to do from the first game? Because we played the demo. I think I have the first game, but I haven't played it yet. But the idea is, how do you go up from like shooting a bunch of spiders, right?
Yeah. You up
And
the ante.
I think they found a way, Tony. They kind of went crazy on this one.
So I didn't even know they were going to make a second one. Like, this is kind of the first time
Tony, what if I told
knowing about
you,
it.
Tony, what if I told you this game is very much like Prey 2017? You would very much be like, what the
What?
fuck?
In what sense?
So
Just getting
basically,
around the
you're like,
house.
oh, there's no spiders anywhere. But then eventually you start to find spiders again, and then I noticed that I'd smash the window, and there's like a studio set outside. So very much like
God.
how Prey 2017 starts, where you realize you're inside
Okay.
like a set. But that's not where it
Yeah.
stops. You get abducted and you go into a spaceship. So you're in a spaceship in like a station sort of thing in space.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, you just have to find a bunch of spiders hiding and then kill them, right? How do you go up from there? The spiders are then like mimics from Prey, so they can become anything. You know how like
Interesting.
one of my favorite rooms in Prey 2017 is the post-it note room, and it has every single item in the room has
Oh
a
yeah,
post-it note on it, and it
everything's
says
labeled.
"not a
Yeah.
mimic." And it's just like that paranoia of everything could be a mimic, and I think that's probably the perfect thing you could do with it. That's where you go with this game, and I think they did a good job in the idea of where you would go from a game like Kill It With Fire 1. I just found, I think with
And
this,
the bigger spiders?
hang on,
They're always the same
I'll skip
size.
ahead.
Okay.
So you go onto the space station, and then you got this scanner to look for the little spiders. See if I can find a bigger spider.
Oh, glizzy in space.
The main thing is like you have this hub world, and you're basically trying to repower the ship.
Okay, so there's
But
like
then the objects turn into like an
Oh.
amalgamation of a spider made out of like material, I guess. Is like, so this is how the mimic system works. And I'm like, there's
That's
fucking mimics
fine.
everywhere, burn everything.
Okay, that's kind of cool. Okay, that does up the ante. Yeah, the actual goal system is very interesting though. I'd like to.
Yeah, so the way
Not
it
just killing
works
spiders.
is because you're in this like futuristic spaceship, you have to go through these portals that take you to different worlds to complete these objectives, and then once you've cleared that world, you can get enough of these gems to go to the next portal. So you start off in the spaceship, and then that sends you off to a set piece. Like I'll show you, like one of the portals I went through put me inside like a mansion. And then I had to do like objectives in there to kill spiders and stuff like that. Which I thought,
Okay,
again,
right.
because then they up the ante. It's like, oh, the entire time there's like a tricycle following you around. It's very much like that Stanley Kubrick film. What's it called? The Shining, where you have like the kid on the tricycle. There's a tricycle that just follows you around. And then one of the bonus objectives on this level is there's a statue that you have to run away from, but every time you're looking at it, it doesn't move. And if you look away, like a weeping angel sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's blending like so many different elements of different games where, they've added like this Prey 2017 mimic system, but then this section is like, oh, it's the mansion horror section of it. And then I'm guessing the other ones are their own flavor of levels. They could have, a completely different setting, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty good for like a short amount of time, but I did find myself getting a bit like tired of some of the mechanics because like I like games with good like movement and stuff, This game feels very clunky. It could be intentionally like slapstick clunky, but like moving around and using different items almost feels like a chore in this game to a point where I was just getting tired of it. Like,
I think it's still, even if it's like that's the intention, I still feel like it needs to still not be a tiring mechanic.
It's really cool to there's mimic spiders now, but then it was like, oh,
yeah,
that's the whole mechanic of a lot of the area now. Is I'm just scanning, find the mimic, kill it,
So
move
you,
on,
in a
scan
way,
it,
like you
find
want
the
like the
mimic,
ante to
move
be
on.
upped continuously but
But
slowly
just more
with
to
different
do.
mechanics.
Like
Yeah, yeah,
the brief respites from just the basic spider hunting, um, you know, they're interesting, but I don't think they're interesting enough to keep me going on. Like, obviously, I haven't played the full game of Kill It With Fire 1. We just played the demo, and I like the demo, but I'm wondering if it was just like the problem with that
lots of
game may have
flamethrower.
been that, once you get past that first like half an hour, it's like, oh, it's a really good demo, but then it goes, oh, well, it's just kind of looking around for spiders again, right? And I think they did a good job with differentiating this and adding more mechanics to the second game, but I feel like, for me personally, I get bored quite easily. So I wanted them to turn up to 11. I wanted them to just go crazy. Obviously, you can't always do that. This is the moment I don't know if this is the moment I realized the fucking tricycle was following me the entire time.
Is that what's making the sound as well?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Because I had on the scanner and it's like, there's a spider right next to you. I was like, no, there's not. And I was like, it's right next to me. And I was like, every time I turn around, this tricycle is always there. Like, I can see people playing and enjoying this game. Like, I'm not trying to shut out or anything. But I think for me,
you got more interesting interactions.
I would like more interesting and I would like it to feel.
Yeah.
Obviously, these games, sometimes you almost want them to be a little bit janky, but I feel like I would prefer it if the game is a bit smoother. Like in terms of the movement and stuff, it feels very clunky, which I don't like.
I think there's like a fine line because I find that you want it to be like clunky, but you don't want it to be annoying. So I think you need to make it clunky in a fun way and the rest of it be smooth.
Yeah, let's move on. Lightyear Frontier. Do you remember this game at E3, Tony? It is farming, like a survival crafting farming game in mechs. Yes.
Yeah, I do remember it. Yeah.
My friend actually was watching me streaming this, and he was like, "Oh, you're playing Lightyear Frontier," and I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Oh," because he's currently studying game development, and he said, "Oh, the game studio in Sweden I go to right now. The guys, they just put out a post recently congratulating some of their ex-students for making this game." I was like, "Oh, that's really cool."
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I thought that was a nice little tidbit.
I'm pro farming and I'm pro mech, so
I actually had quite a lot of fun with this game, considering I said I've been playing a lot of survival crafting stuff in terms of like Power World and this, right?
Yeah.
I think ultimately, I think this game's really cool. The reason I played this for about, I think, 45 minutes, and I could have played more, but I stopped myself because I was like, you know what? I could go all out and just completely 100% the demo, but this game's coming out in Games Pass next month, and I plan on playing it there.
Okay, right.
So it's going to be like a Games Pass launch title. So I was like, I understand enough about this game that I want to play more. I don't want to play it for like another half an hour and then play that entire thing again on Games Pass. So I was like, I'll just wait for it to come up on Games Pass.
That is an issue with the demo. Well, certain long demos.
Like, I'll see if I can convince my other friend on Games Pass to play this with me, because we played some Pal World together briefly.
Can I be Slime Rancher 2 vibes in terms of
Yeah, there's it has ray trace global illumination, which I think adds a lot to the game. I'm playing it with like I'm playing it with the Ultra preset at the moment, which is also in the options called the frame breaking presets, which I thought was quite funny.
That was quite the tumble you took there.
Like, obviously, I don't always turn everything up to the highest setting, but I usually do for recording purposes.
You got a front of a tractor as your mech.
Yep, it's a farming mech, Tony.
That's fantastic. I kind of want to play this as well, actually.
You actually go from like being inside your mech to being outside your mech, and I love that you can fall over in the mech as well, which is, I found it hilarious every time it happened, because it had like that slapstick energy of like, oh, I'm falling over. Because I'm like, I want to make a tight turn.
Yeah.
And I also want to go up this hill, and then I'm like, wait, I'm in a fucking mech, and then you feel that when you fall over. But it has like the mech has this like. Did you see me flipping the mech up? Like it has that very much that warthog from Halo vibe. Where
Oh,
it's like
when
it has
you
like
try and-
no
yeah,
gravity
right,
when you flip it up. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was saying like in terms of like having movement that's like slightly different. Like you still like obviously move around with the WASD, but making it certain mechanics make you feel like a mech. I think
This
is very
game makes you
important.
feel like you're in a mech, but it never felt clunky.
Yeah.
And I think that is what
Yeah,
was
that's a
really
good
good about
balance.
this game.
Up there in the sky.
I'm already. Look at the fauna. Kill it! Kill it!
I'm like, well, I've got to start farming.
Oh, that's so good. Okay, I'm kind of already sold. I kind of want to just be in a farming mech already.
Yeah.
And it's just very basic. See, sometimes it's just the very basics. Like sell like a premise. Like that's all you need. Maybe that's all you need, but it's a very good start. That's what you need as a starting point.
Mm. But there's like, oh, you get like a little jetpack boost to get up short hill
I
areas.
assume there's modules and things you'd upgrade these later.
Yeah,
Like,
so I
choose
built
how
a
you
quick
wanna-
base, and you can basically park your mech at a like a mechanic station, and you can upgrade it. And you
Okay.
basically need like a bunch of material. Like you get like ores and stuff, and you need to upgrade your tools to be able to mine different materials, or you can upgrade how much water you carry. Which it's I haven't explained water. So the start of the game makes you pick up your tools, like your irrigation hose, so you can use water to water plants, so you can grow like crops. But there's also a corrupted area, and it's sort of like Power Wash Simulator, where you have to go around and like wash the corruption away. But you have like this tank system on your mech, so you have to suck up the water from a water supply, and then you can like
Interesting.
hose away the corruption and get clean up. So it's almost like Terra Nil vibes, where you're like trying to clean up this
Yeah.
planet, like terraform it almost.
That's interesting. It has that as well. Okay, it's like a side thing.
And there'll be
I
like,
like
so
that.
up here is this corrupted zone, Pine Heights, and after I washed away all of the like corruption, it then like was like 100% complete, and then basically a bunch of resources started spawning in this area. So it's in your best interest to try and clean up areas, so you can recultivate them and then use the materials that are there. Because initially I thought maybe it was like, I need to replant trees here, because there is like a tree, you can shoot like seeds out of a gun, and then that lets you plant trees. But there's like tons of different stuff you can do in terms of like building farm plots, upgrading your mech, cleaning up areas, which is pretty cool. And then by this thing there was these artifacts I could scan, but some of them were inside these tiny little caves. So one thing I had to do was I actually had to get out of my mech and then go in there on foot in order to get into these small gaps. So there is like that. There is actually a point to like going in and out of your mech as well, which I think is a good idea.
Yeah,
It's not just
like
like
a trade-off.
100% a mech sort of thing.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I was streaming this to a friend, and I was like, "Oh, it's always hilarious when you fall out of your mech, 'cause it looks really funny." And I was like, "I'll show you." And then I was struggling to actually make my mech fall over on purpose, but I did it several times accidentally, which I thought was funny. Oh, you have these like workshop sheds, which, when you put stuff inside of them, you actually build stuff faster inside of them. So you actually kind of want to think about what machines you want to put into them.
So
Just, like,
you
quite
need different machines to like continuously like craft stuff then, or
Yeah, you get like an oil press. You're like, oh, I need this certain oil for this thing, and then you go up to it and you put some in, and it'll slowly like press the oil over time, sort of thing.
right?
I don't know how. Like, I didn't really get into any automation stuff, so I'm wondering if there is like a automation sort of system. But I feel like that's probably down the line. Again, I'm probably gonna play the full thing on Games Pass, so I'll know more about it then. This is building on a grid. But again, you can actually turn off the grid and just build free mode if you would like to.
That's good. Having a grid is always nice.
Yeah, you can put like plant fiber into there, and then it'll tell you how long it's going to take, and it'll like press it over time. So that's like one of the early game mechanics. I want to find a clip where I fall over to show it to you. I don't know if I can. Oh, here's some like some water. I was like, it's Power Wash Simulator with a water tank. Like you actually have to think. Like in Power Wash Simulator, you have unlimited water, so it's very much more relaxing. But this game is like, oh, I have to think about where my closest water supply is, and then actually go and suck that up, so I can go and cleanse more corruption with the water hose.
The planet with the ring looks great as well. Pro
Yeah.
Planet. It does look like a vacuum cleaner though.
But yeah, there's like day-night cycles. You can turn on these great headlights, and then you can build a tent, and then you can sleep. You can get out of your mech and then like sleep through the night if you want to, sort of thing, which I thought was quite cool. Where they do encourage you to go in and out of your mech and stuff. I'm still spoiled by the system where I think it should be in every survival crafting game. If you're inside your base and you have supplies in a chest, the way it works in Power World is if you have it in your chest, you can just craft it from anywhere. You don't have to physically pick up the supplies and then carry them over to the crafting bench. This game does not have that. I
completely agree.
But I love that mechanic because I hate sorting through inventories. It's the frame breaking. You can see it's on.
It kind of sounds like an NVIDIA technology, like turn on frame breaking.
Turn on frame breaking.
I guess that'd be like AK, not EAK, but yeah.
Beautiful. But yeah, the game sort of tutorializes at the beginning. It's like, oh, go over here and find your irrigation hose. Go over here and find your seed planter. Go over here and there's these nests around the world, and you can build these like they're called like food. They're basically like food tarts or food seeds, and you basically shoot them at the animals to like rehabilitate, like feed them and reinvigorate them, sort of thing. Because you need to feed a certain amount to fill a bar.
Wakey, wakey, partner. The decorating you did yesterday really lit
which is
up
pretty
the
cool.
place. It's really beginning to feel like a home.
You'd love to see it. But yeah, I love the fucking rain on the windshield effect that they have going on here when it's raining. I think that looks really, really nice.
I was gonna say like a lot of games forget about adding, other than just like the look of the rain, they forget to add anything else that rain does, like in these like survival games. So yeah, it's nice to see other interactions that are better than, and also the rain is like nicely light, so you can actually see what's going on. That's always good to see.
I think you can go into first person or third person, so you don't have to play in first person if you don't want to. But I couldn't remember what the button was, and I was like, I'm going to play first person anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Is it kind of like Minecraft? You can technically play in third person, but you only ever do
There's
it
no way
sometimes,
anyone
so look at
actually
yourself.
plays in third person in Minecraft.
Exactly.
I think I might fall over soon, Tony. I'm just waiting.
Oh, on the slippery slope.
Slippery. I was like, I could jump up here. This will be fine. Maybe.
Is this your first fall?
Here we go. I'm like, ah! So you can actually like slip over in the mech if you don't like land it correctly.
I like that. That's a really. I know it's not really risk reward, but it's kind of like a cool, fun risk reward.
Oh, here I upgraded my saw so I could actually destroy this pond rock, and then this let me like get a water source here now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Huge art installation. Either way, it's no matter
Is this
now.
Secret Castlevania?
Secret Metroidvania. Yeah, these are like the smaller areas you go into to find these artifacts, sort of thing. Because obviously you can't get into these areas of your mech because it's too big. But then this like lets you scan these strange rocks and figure out what's going on. I'll see if I can find some Power Wash Simulator game. Oh, I fell over.
Time for some manual.
Yeah, you have inventory weight, so you will have to go back to base and tidy stuff up. Oh, here we go. Here's Power Wash Simulator, Tony. Here it is. Cleaning up the... But yeah, that's the basic mechanics of the game so far from what I've seen is you're upgrading your mech and you're trying to basically rebuild the planet from its corruption. which
You're
is
gonna slowly build out your
part power
farm.
wash, part gunk, parts survival
Yeah.
crafting,
Oh.
part falling over
No worries.
when you do dumb shit. Yeah, that's Lightyear Frontier. Let's talk about. I really like this game, and I'm gonna play it.
Yeah.
It's coming out day one Games Pass. I'm gonna try it out there, and it's gonna be an early access or game preview, as they like to say in Games Pass term.
Alright. Kind of relaxing.
I want to see what would happen if you go into the deep, deep water, and I can tell you it just teleports you back.
Okay. There's some way to solve that problem.
But yeah, Nests Fest, and then that gives you a resource boost in that region. So you want to try and feed the nests of animals, because then you get more resources. So it is very much about like conservation farming, I would say.
You did yesterday.
Yeah. Instead of exploiting the land.
Yeah. This is what happens if you try and go off the map. It teleports you back. And then I played one
Okay.
final game from the mid section, which was Pacific Drive. And I thought this was going to be like very much more of like a linear heavy like story game where you're constantly just pushing forward. But it turned out to be more of a survival crafting roguelike run sort of thing in terms of how it plays. So it starts off, I would still say the game is very like story focused. The idea is there is basically this zone in the Olympic Peninsula. I'm guessing it's somewhere in America, where there was this big
I know where that is.
weird event, like they call it the Olympic exclusion zone. Like the government's built a giant wall around this area, and basically it's been abandoned because there's something going on. It's growing, like the zone is getting bigger, and you're a delivery guy, and you're going to. I don't know if you're going to deliver like into it or you're going to deliver near it, but you basically get sucked into it, sort of thing, and that really starts the story. I'm sort of 50-50 on this game. Like, I like how like the car is very mechanical. Like, to turn the wipers on, you need to look at the wiper switch and turn it on. You need to put the game into drive out of park, and you need to turn the ignition on and off, and you have to go to gas stations and get gas for the car. It's very much like a car game, but then again, it's also very much like a crafting game with some light survival. Like, there's no, from what I can tell, there's no like food bar, there's no like heat bar. It is just very much you're gathering materials to fix your car up, sort of thing.
You just like progress the story. Or progressing.
Yeah.
Story. I guess there's a
But the idea is, because you have these rear view mirrors as well, which I think is really cool, because you can have these in like high detail and stuff. So seeing if you're being chased
very
by
immersive.
something. Yeah, I think the game looks really great. I think it was shown at like a Sony event, like a state of play or something. And there's this radio that you can have on that gives you like music and stuff. Like, it's quite atmospheric, but it's like, oh, some rocks are warping away and disappearing. Like, what's going on? And I'll go back a bit. So you get to this point where the car just completely dead stops, and then you get sucked into the zone, sort of thing. It's very much like, what's that game? Like, is it Stalker, or is it like something like that, where there's like this big radioactive zone that's been walled off, and there's like a weird entity in the middle? Like, it reminds me of that game a bit.
Yeah, is that Stalker? I don't actually know.
It's not
don't know how
Metro, I can
Stalker
tell you that
operates.
much.
No, it's not Metro.
But those kind of
That's
like
the whole
post-apocalyptic survival thing. It's like, this isn't. So I think the outside world is not post-apocalyptic, but like the inside is very like scavenging for materials, because there is humans on the inside who are trying to survive.
There's like trap bubble of apocalypse.
But basically, the light story of this game, from what I experienced in the demo was there's these anomaly things that fuse with people, and they kind of like make you and this entity tied together. And the guy on the Reddit was saying, "Oh, everyone who it's happened to has gone like insane." But for some reason, this entity has fused you and this car together.
Oh,
So you spend the
Okay.
entire time basically like driving around trying to piece together what's going on and scamming material. It's like, oh, you need to come here and talk to these guys. And it's like, oh, you're in this lab. And then suddenly this woman starts talking to you like, what are you doing in my lab? You're stealing my shit. But there's no like... It is very much from the demo. There was no human characters in the like. You didn't go and talk to any humans. It's very much stuff over the radio. I wonder if it could even be like. Imagine at the end of the story, they're like none of these humans are actually alive. They're all just entities who think they're alive. Like their consciousness has been sucked into like the radio, and they have no idea they're actually dead. That would be an interesting. That's the Shyamalan twist right there. You know.
yeah. I feel like you can do a lot of interesting things with this. I feel like there's some really cool. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm intrigued. I'll say that much. I kind of like.
I was constantly switching between like a
Stories.
mouse and keyboard and a controller. I was like, oh, I'll use a controller when I drive. And then I was switching to mouse and keyboard to like walk around and pick stuff up. But I think like there is enough of like a core mechanic of like you're constantly wanting to scavenge for resources and fix up your car to keep most people going. I kind of wish it was a bit more linear for me personally. I think when I saw the trailer, I thought it was going to be like a super linear, like what the fuck's going on in this zone sort of thing. But yeah, like I'll skip ahead a bit. You basically get to this garage and you start like it basically teaches you how to fix up your wheels, and you can use like this putty to fix things. But you're basically going around scavenging for materials and then using that to fix up your car. And then eventually, once you've met like your scavenging requirement or your objective, you can then you basically go to these power pylons and activate a portal, and this teleports you back to the garage, which is like the hub world sort of thing.
Right. Okay.
So I guess the main pulling thing is that you're trying to go. You're basically like doing these runs where, because if you don't make it back, all of the stuff you've gathered, you don't keep, sort of thing. So this is almost like an extraction game, I guess you could say, where you're going in, you're trying to gather materials and get out, but there's no PvP element to it. It's not like an extraction shooter. It's more just like a PvE thing. But then I guess there's this underlying story to that. I'm gonna have to wait and see like how strong that is to see if it keeps me engaged, because I think based on the trailers and stuff from this game, I thought it was a very different game to what it actually turned out to be. And I think that's maybe the result of how they chose to do the marketing of this game. But it is like very heavily consisting of. It's not like, you know, a heavy linear game where you're just trying to get through an area with your car. There's like, it feels like very light touch sort of story at some points where it's like you need to go here and do this, and then you're going on a run, and hopefully I can get out with all these materials, and I don't get too cocky and almost die, and then I'll lose everything. You know, it's more like a risk-reward system, I would say, for Pacific Drive.
Like a reward, yeah, like a storytelling through finding stuff in the world, but having a goal of getting resources. Yeah, it seems very again, like intriguing. Like I feel like I would.
So apparently the devs said
like
the game's
to
going to
know
be like
more through.
roughly around 20 hours for story progression, but then like 40
really?
plus hours for full completion. So
That's quite long.
yeah. Like I think it seems like a lot of people were like kind of confused. That like from the trailers that look like you would just be driving a lot with this car, but in actuality, like driving is like a small part of the game. It's mostly scavenging and then doing these runs, I would say. It's more like just grab a bunch of loot and get out sort of thing. I'll show you what that sort of looks like quickly. So basically you get to like these power pylon, these arc devices they're called in the game. And then you pick one and you go, I want to open a gateway here. Because the outside world apparently is ever shifting, but you can use these arc devices to get back to where you want to be so you don't get like consumed by the world. Like they keep it in a shroud, which keeps it, I don't know, it stops it from being like this big open immersive world, but keeps it more like a linear closed off thing. So each time you do a run, it's more like a closed off level rather than being like a drive through a big open world sort of thing.
Right. So it's trying to somewhat.
And I'm guessing this is how the full game is going to be, because that's how the demo was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You summon these giant portals in the sky, and then you have to basically, as soon as you do, it creates instability in the world, so you have to get to them basically before you get consumed by instability. So it's like, this is like the extraction part. I was like, oh, I almost totaled my car there, sort of thing. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'll play this game on release. Maybe I think I'm gonna wait to see what people think about it. But yeah, I think I thought it was a very different game from the marketing, basically. And again, it's good that it has a demo because I got to try out the actual game rather than what I thought the game was going to be.
What? Yeah, so this is like what the trailers and things were showing. Like, what does this look like? More of a driving.
From the trailers, it looks more like oh, you're going to be driving across a long stretch of land trying to fix up your car, and it looks like very story based.
Yeah.
Whereas there is these heavy story elements, but they sort of intersperse long periods of driving around looting stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I didn't find particularly engaging, just driving around gathering materials. Kind of reminded me of like Fallout 4. We were just grabbing tons of random shit, and then you're not really doing anything.
Bring it back, yeah.
Yeah, or Fallout 76, where it's just like you need to grab all the glue and the scrap, and you can carry so much shit, and it's like, well, none of it feels particularly useful because it's all just a bunch of small stuff. I'd rather have more impactful, bigger things.
In my head, it should be like more like don't starve. It's like, oh, I need to go to this area because this has like this resource that I need right now, and then on the way I might find.
Yeah, again, I mean, for the demo, you only get to play one little zone. It could be different in the full game, but yeah, I wasn't. From what I played of the demo, I wasn't like the quality of like the story and the graphics and the actual gameplay is decent, but I think it was just different to what I was expecting it to be.
Yeah.
So my expectations were different.
I think the overall like premise of the story is still intriguing to me. But yeah, I see kind of see what you're saying, where it's like.
Yeah.
Fallout. So is Fallout 76 worse than Fallout 4 for like the collecting of...
because I've played Fallout 4 and Fallout 76, and they're both very much just walking around picking up everything.
Yeah.
Like Fallout 76 follows that vein of Fallout 4 in that sense. Where like in New Vegas, it felt more impactful to pick up things, whereas in those games, like, I'm going to pick up everything to melt down into its base material so I can build this random piece of furniture at my house, which did not feel that compelling to me. But yeah.
It wasn't going out to get a couple of fuel.
That was the miscellaneous section of Steam Next Fest. Anything that caught your eye, Tony?
I was noticing either a lot of... I don't say like survivally stuff. It's actually more just like intriguing, weird stories. It's a lot of it.
Right.
I think Mouthwashing needs to.
I want to play Mouthwashing. I think Mouthwashing was the game I was most like, you know what, this is fucking strange, but I want to know more about Mouthwash.
I want to do some more farming as well, but I think.
Oh
if I had to
yeah,
choose
I'm gonna
one,
be playing
Mouthwashing.
Frontier, Lightyear. I keep wanting to call it Lightyear, Buzz Lightyear, but it's not. Lightyear Frontier. Um,
Right.
I'm gonna be playing that more on Games Fest. But yeah,
Part of the Lightyear expanded universe.
we'll see you for the next Tangerine on Next Fest.
Yeah.
And goodbye.
Bye.